And tonight we are joined by our colleagues in the band department, Mr. Zudis and Dr. Paul Carroll.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, Mr. Zudis. Hey, Dr. Carroll.
Hello.
Thanks for tuning in.
And we're joined by another colleague from Vailsgate School, Mrs. Christine Mackey.
Hi, everybody.
And our very glorious alumnus, and also by how would we say this, by family related to one of our music teachers at GAMS, Olivia McCartney.
Hi, Olivia.
And Olivia, are you Texas right now, or are you back in Newburgh?
I'm back in Newburgh right now.
Oh, okay. She's a little glitchy.
Yeah, she's a little glitchy. Okay.
So we're going to ask a couple of questions to some of you, and then we're going to give some trivia before we launch our performance tonight. We thought it might be kind of fun to catch people up. I guess we're supposed to do some introductions first. The Hallelujah Chorus is traditionally performed at NFA on the second to last night of school before the winter break, except this year because tomorrow was supposed to be school, but now it's not, and we are not complaining about that. So for the past 94 years, NFA students and alumni, family, and friends have all gathered in this space. And from what we understand, that actually happened before that, before this building was built, there was another NFA. So I believe it was happening there as well. But no matter where you end up, you know, and sing with us. Everything is frozen. Is that okay? Keep going? Okay.
Okay.
So you could come back and sing live in year 95. That's our goal. Okay. So I'm going to ask our guests a couple of questions as soon as they're back. While we're waiting for them to come back. Oh, there they are. Beautiful. So, Mrs. Mackey, is it okay if we start with you? I'm going to ask you.
Sure.
So Mrs. Mackey is a music teacher, and I had the delight to teach on the elementary level with her for a while.
As did I.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. We both taught with
That's
you.
right.
There's a wonderful piece of trivia. In Newburgh, and if you've been your whole career here, and where, you know, what are you teaching now? She's lost her again.
Okay.
Does that mean nothing's going out, or?
This is.
Okay, we're
the
gonna.
wonders of live
Chrissy,
live
this is just
television.
like my Google Meets. So this is just like my. So we're gonna roll over to Olivia until Christine comes back. And I think Paul and Chris are frozen too. So Olivia, you're huh? Okay, if you could tell us, Olivia, you're an NFA alum. Could you tell us a little about like when you graduated, what, and maybe what it was like when you were here, and what you've been up to since then?
Yeah, absolutely. So I graduated in the class of 2015 from NFA, and I loved all my years in high school. I was a member of the wind ensemble, the a cappella choir, and yeah, I remember doing all 4 Hallelujah courses, and they were all wonderful. And since then, I graduated from SUNY Potsdam, the Crane School of Music, in 2019 with my degree in music performance, and I play the oboe. And then I now live in Austin, Texas, and I'm getting my master's degree in vocal phonetics and hearing.
Yes. Wow. That's great. So you've been doing a lot of traveling then.
Yes,
It's wonderful.
So I'll be finishing my master's degree in this coming May 2021.
Oh, you're almost done? It feels like
Wow.
It feels like you like just graduated. So
Yeah.
wow.
Oh.
That's wonderful. And now I'm going to roll back to, sorry, Christine, we lost you there for a second. I think you're back. Yes or no? Yeah, she's not back. We're going to go to Chris. Chris, Mr. Zudas, you are not just an NFA teacher, but you're also an NFA alumnus. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I am. I graduated in 1976, a few years ago, and it's been one heck of a ride coming back to Newburgh and teaching for over 35 years now.
That's wonderful. And when you were NFA as a student, were you involved? You were involved in the music program pretty heavily. What did you do?
Oh, I played in the concert band, clarinet. In the jazz band, I played clarinet and saxophone. I was in the boys' glee club, and a number of small ensembles at the time that we had. It was quite an experience, and one of my great mentors was Mr. Louis Aloja, who was the band director at the time, and he's one of the reasons I became an educator.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And Dr. Carroll over there, and I notice, I appreciate you two are staying one trombone length apart, so we appreciate that. And Mrs. Guido and I are one cello apart.
Yes.
So I think we've lost them. We're going to go to.
No.
Oh, you didn't. Oh, you're
okay.
switching. I'm sorry. We're very new at this. Can you tell? Yeah, we've never done this before. So
Not at all.
So I'm going to go back to Dr. Carroll. So now, how long have you been with Newburgh? And you've been a music teacher the whole time you've been at in the Newburgh district, but you've been in a few buildings. Could you tell us about that?
I was in, two buildings. 2001, I started at Heritage, 2 years, and I came here in 2003. So yeah, I've been in the two buildings. Before that, I was in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and Brooklyn before that a little bit. But yeah, I've been here for, I think I replaced Dave Siglin.
Yeah,
Dave Siglin.
Where's the
I came actually, I believe, Julian, it was a year after you came here, if I remember correctly, because I can't believe I'm blanking out on the name. It's crazy.
Mr. Winslow?
Mr. Winslow, of course.
I just,
Mr. Winslow and Siglin, those 2 years ago.
Well, that's what. So this is who we've got here, and I'm going to go to. Can I go to Christine? She's still frozen. So we're going to tell you. Off on the shelf. So Christine, thank you for that. Are you back? Okay. So Christine is not back for us. She is? Okay.
I can kind of hear you.
Hear her? Okay, so I'm going to ask the questions because Christine, we've lost our feed, but I understand it's still working. So Christine, could you tell us a little bit about your
So if you're, I don't know if are you talking to me, Jillian?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you talking to me?
Tell us a little bit about. Yes, we're talking to Christine.
Okay, finally.
So,
hi, everybody. Yeah, so I have been in the district for 27 years now, and I have had the pleasure of working with Ms. Guido and Ms. Cassie. This time of year is so special for the Hallelujah Chorus, and I have joined it before in the past, and it was so special being part of it here. And also they do it in my children's school district. And I also want to say that my mother is actually a graduate of NFA as well. So it's been going on for a very, very long time. But as for my own background and program, I have been in this district for, like I said, 27 years. I teach at Vailsgate STEAM Academy. I teach chorus and general music. And even though I am a classically trained flutist, I teach orchestra. So I had the pleasure of taking over that program after Ms. Guido left us. So she left me in good hands, and I hope to do her the best justice I can. Music is an awesome language that we all speak. And I am so blessed to have taught so many children and students of Newburgh throughout the years. And just blessed to be here.
And we still have some members of the NFA main orchestra that I have started when I was a teacher at Valesgate, and that you have also started once you took over the orchestra position after I left Valesgate. So it's wonderful that the students have a good foundation and that they're still playing and they're still involved in the music programs here up at the main campus.
It's a wonderful tradition. And that's now, Christine, do you know what year your mother graduated? Or would she be mad if you told us? I don't know if you can hear me.
I'm not sure.
Oh, she's back. So,
Okay.
Christine, would your mom be mad at us if you told us what year she graduated?
No.
Are you, who? Oh,
No? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure she heard me.
Okay. So
Well, we want to thank all of you for joining us. And we're going to tell you a little bit about our conductor before we move, because it's almost time. It's 7:19, and we're trying to launch this thing at 7:30. We have a guest conductor, who is Mr. Greg Phillips, but we wanted to fill you out in a little bit about that there are actually rules about who gets to be a guest conductor. It almost always has to be an alumnus. There are exceptions made occasionally, but it's supposed to be an alumnus of one of the participating ensembles. Now, there's a loophole if you're a Newburgh teacher who is not necessarily an NFA alumnus, and there are also other exceptions made to that rule occasionally. This year is an exception. Mr. Greg Phillips, this year's conductor, has been granted honorary NFA status in light of all of his contributions to the music program. He's been involved with us. In fact, we did a partnership with the Newburgh Symphony last year, and in fact, he has taken such care of the string instruments in this district, so he has been granted honorary status, and that is the status under which he's conducting for us tonight. And our director was the conductor last year, and she was also granted honorary status because while she is not a music teacher in this, she is the director of music and teaches all the teachers. And so that is the status under which she conducted last year. So that's unusual to have two exceptions in a row, but there we are. And so Mrs. Guido is going to tell us a little bit about Mr. Phillips and he's got an incredible and long history, and we could talk about him for an hour, but we're going to talk about him for about 2 minutes.
Okay, so Mr. Greg Phillips is a retired music educator. He retired in June of 1999 after 34 years in the Ramapo Central School District. Before he retired, he served as the district director of music for 17 years. He founded the string program in Suffern in 1965, and in the years that ensued, he was the director of orchestra at all levels.
Wow.
Mr. Phillips has conducted numerous festival ensembles, including New York State All-County Junior and Senior High School orchestras and string orchestras, as well as the Nevada All-State Orchestra. He has also conducted summer school sessions at Crane Youth Music, Pacific University in Stockton, California, and the Punahou School in Honolulu. Oh, Mr. Phillips went to Hawaii.
That is the best place.
That is the best place. All right. Mr. Phillips has taught strings in Goshen High School and Middle School, the Monroe Woodbury Middle School as a maternity leave replacement, and leave replacement at Monroe Woodbury High School. Previous to that, he started a now thriving string program in the Cornwall schools. And he resides in Cornwall and spends his free time traveling with his wife of 55 years, enjoys his 2 grandchildren. He is the retired executive director of the Newburgh Symphony, boating on the Hudson. He has a thriving private cello studio, lesson studio, playing chamber in the area. And I also have one other fun fact about Mr. Phillips.
What is that?
He enjoys restoring old Jaguars. And Mr. Phillips came to my house with his Jaguar, and my brother and I actually
Should I run my computer?
All right, and we're
All right,
back.
We're back.
Ah, the glories of technology.
Okay. We're going to go back to. I wanted to ask Olivia. Olivia, a lot of oboe playing. Olivia, um, actually on this recording twice, playing both oboe 1 and oboe 2 parts. So in Battle of the Oboes for yourself, Olivia,
The Battle of
which part was, let's say, the more difficult? Because we have a wager on which sections of the piece are hardest. So did you find any of that particularly hard or a part easier, having played 2 parts for us? Except I lost her. Maybe it's me? No, we're still moving. Oh, I hear her. Olivia, did you hear me? What was it like playing 2 oboe parts? And she just froze. Okay, we're having some lag problems here, as I'm sure you've all noticed. I'm going to move on. Dr. Carroll, I would like to point out, played timpani for us tonight, and Mrs. Mackey sang alto for us tonight. So she was willing to not play her flute and help fortify the alto section, so for which we are extremely grateful. I'm going to move on. We're going to give you a little bit of information about the Hallelujah Chorus. There's some lesser known and surprising facts.
Yes,
So
fun facts.
Monica and I, or Mrs. Guido and I, are going to play Did You Know?
Did you know?
So here are we. By the way, if you go to the NFA Music Facebook page, you will see that. And I'm sorry, what is the?
All
I
right,
forgot
so
her name.
over on the NFA Music Facebook page, one of our class of 1990 alumnus friends, Buffy Favada, who lives in Germany, has posted some pictures of the places that Handel has lived and studied music, and she gets to see these amazing buildings every single day as she walks through her town. So I would suggest, we weren't able to share those pictures live for you tonight, but head over to the Facebook page and you'll be able to see them. And thank you so much, Buffy, for sharing those amazing photographs with us.
Other interesting facts about the Hallelujah Chorus. I guess this is slightly more known. Did you know that Handel wrote the Hallelujah Chorus in 24 days?
You know, I did not know that, Miss Cassie.
Well, and here he wrote the entire Messiah in 24 days. So here's the Messiah. Should I do the thump?
Yeah, you do your thumb.
Okay, so there's the entire Messiah.
And here's my entire
This is the choral section.
And this is the orchestra score, which has not only the choral parts, but all of the instrumental parts as well.
In teeny tiny notes
Teeny
to
tiny
make it all
notes.
fit. So he wrote a book. The Hallelujah Chorus is chorus number 44 in this oratorio. So that's a really interesting fact. He didn't write every single note of it. That's also not quite as well known.
No, I believe he had several copyists helping him fill in the instrumental parts.
Yes, and that back then it was almost an ad hoc thing where he wrote sort of the broad strokes and the sketches of the parts, but then he didn't write all of the parts. Somebody would fill in. And we've done something similar tonight by adding, and thank you to, I believe it was it Mr. Robles?
Yes.
Mr. Robles, another music teacher, transcribed alto and tenor saxophone parts for us and played them.
Yes, and so did Kelly O'Connor, who is a class of 88 alumnus. She transcribed the alto tenor and bass clarinet parts, and the saxophone parts as well. So we have brand new parts in our Hallelujah Chorus PDF folder, and in having those parts, so next year's performances, we have fresh parts ready to go.
Will be cleaner, yes.
Mhm.
It was the Messiah itself, the entire work, premiered in Dublin in 1742 and then premiered again in London. So what's interesting to know is that Handel kind of kept writing. So the version that happened in 1742 was not the be-all, end-all. He kept writing parts for it. The version we're doing is most closely related to what he did in 1754. So we're going way back in the Wayback Machine. There's also a tradition of people standing during the Hallelujah Chorus section, and that is actually traced back to King George II, that he was so excited by the Hallelujah Chorus, that he was so moved by it that he stood up, and of course no one's allowed to be sitting in the presence of the king.
That's right.
There are others who are not huge fans. Queen Victoria said she found the piece tiresome. And
well, I have some members of my orchestra that have also felt very tiresome by the time
and some music teachers do avoid the piece. The trend has been away from doing the piece because it's very hard for a high school orchestra, choir, and wind players to perform.
Yes.
A lot of gnarly parts in there. We have, I think, are we in agreement? The hardest choral parts, I think we're at a consensus, are between 22 and 33 in that section. Unless you're a soprano or a tenor, in which case it's also hard towards the ending when you're just singing. And here's a shout out to Becky Kleina over at Heritage, who thank you fortified the soprano section with us, and said after she was done, she felt like a screaming goat. And I agree with you, having sung the soprano part, you just feel like you're screeching because it's just so high. And it's punishing for tenors and sopranos there. So 22 to 33, and then towards that end there where you're just there's nowhere to breathe. There's no end in sight for the sopranos and the tenors. So
you're not allowed to breathe.
No.
Luckily, as string players, we can breathe.
Yes. We're hating on you a little bit for that as vocalists. And there's an argument about why did it have to be in the key of D? And Mr. Zeus could speak to that. For wind players, they don't really, I don't think they care for the key of D.
No, they
5
do not.
sharps. That's mean for wind players. And however, Hans Zimmer has a lovely masterclass on why the key of D is great for writing things like this.
Right. And it's not the happy high twos.
No, apparently it's not the happy high twos. That's a string joke for those of you who are not string. A little bit of background on the Hallelujah Chorus. There's lots of trivia that we'll start putting on the Facebook page, I think, soon. NFA itself, this auditorium was recently completely remodeled. It's absolutely gorgeous. You will see some shots of it in the video. We made sure to give you sort of a tour while we were doing this. The stage that we are on is enormous. It's 90 feet wide. It's a very large stage, especially for a high school. We think that the largest Hallelujah Chorus assembly of students, friends, relatives, and alumni was in 2015, where we had over, I think, 300 people on stage. It was just huge. The floor was groaning. The oldest alumni we've had participate was from the class of 1947. That was back in, I have 2018 written here, but I think it was 2016. I think that's a typo.
You would have typed it, Miss Cassie.
Yes, and we all know about my typing adventures. So we're gonna move on because it's the witching hour, and we've tried to give you this sort of run up to it, just in case people were arriving late, so that nobody clicked in just in time to see the ending. But there will be more. We'll be putting that out on that Facebook page, and I think we just wanted to do a couple of shout outs before we go to this. I want to, and I'm going to ask Mr. Ducaday, who is running this live stream for us, if the world will explode if I turn the laptop to wave to him, or should I just leave it be? He's saying no, so I'm going to just point. He's over there,
Mr. Ducaday,
making the world work tonight. So thank you, Mr. Ducaday. We'd also like to thank our colleagues in CSEA for making so many things happen here in this building. They were instrumental, pun intended,
Yes.
in helping us hand out the instruments and get them to the kids at their homes. We're trying to teach and do instrument distributions downstairs, and in my case, music distributions. And we're running up and down the stairs, and they're really filling in the breach for us. Our custodians and our security monitors is really watching out for us. I'd also like to say hello to the Rotary tonight, who I understand are tuned in from their
Wonderful.
annual gathering. Normally, we'd be singing with them, with the Madrigals, and all of the alumni who have contributed all kinds of things so far and who are continuing to do so. And I am sure that I am forgetting at least a dozen other people, the music faculty in particular, and we knew that we would forget or run out of time, so we very cleverly put all of your names in the credits so that we didn't actually forget to thank you. We actually thank you in advance because you're already in there. So you'll see those if you want to hang out for the ending to see your name. That's also for all the students who sent us stuff, and really quite possibly the biggest shout out is to all of our students who are recording these things and sending us things and doing this work.
They have never,
They have never worked so hard. And I'm sorry, I'm going to get on a soapbox right here. And I have said this to my students repeatedly over the past several weeks. Please don't let anyone, those of you listening, please don't let anyone tell you that the students are falling behind. They are doing amazing work. And they are learning at like mind-blowing speeds. They're becoming just so accomplished at things that I hope that narrative of kids falling behind, that needs to go away, because these students are amazing us every single day. This is a NISMA level 5 performance piece, and they're learning it remotely with us with me scream singing across the internet, with Mrs. Guido leaning into a camera, showing fingers, and they're doing it. And Mr. Zudas the same thing, and they're doing all of that, and they're just doing
amazing things.
incredible things. We asked them to do an absolutely impossible thing without telling them it was impossible. So that's a good thing we didn't tell them that. And thank you to them for believing us, and for continuing to keep trying, and because they are honestly just inspiring and amazing people, and they are going to be incredible adults, and we're so very proud of them. And I know I'm talking a lot, but that shouldn't surprise any of you who know me. So I'm going to let you send us off, okay? And then we're going to give Mr. Ducanet the wave, and we're going to do this thing.
All right. So I want to just leave you with a student quote here. And this one made me chuckle a little bit. So what I had students do after we finished it all, they submitted their recordings and videos. I had them just give me a little reflection. And this particular student said, I got an orchestra in freshman year, and I was so excited to learn it, meaning the Hallelujah Chorus. I went home that day and learned the entire piece. And I always said that I was going to find a way to play and sing during my senior year. And I didn't think that I would get a pandemic, but at least I found a way to do both. So
can we quote her? Did we have permission to use her name? I don't know if we asked her. So we probably didn't. We actually have a couple of what we call switch hitters. Those are kids who are in both, say, band and chorus, or orchestra and chorus, and then so you'll see a couple of people in there twice. If you watch really closely, you will see students doing more than one thing. And then we also have those are our crossover artists, I'm sorry. And then we have our switch hitters, are the people who are doing more than one thing in the same category. So there is a certain string player, actually a couple of string players in there who are playing 2-stringed instruments. And then we have a couple of vocalists who are singing more than one voice part. So you may want to kind of look for that. If you see the same person in there twice, it's because they were actually doing 2. So they learned not 1 part, but 2 parts. And in some cases, in the case of Mrs. Guido, 4 parts. So she has won the part Olympics, because we believe that she has done the most parts of anybody. And I did actually sing all the parts for the guide tracks for the students, but of course I can't sing bass in its actual range, so that doesn't count.
One other fun fact is I had a student who never played the cello, and she picked up the cello this year, and she played the Hallelujah Chorus. So
that is incredible.
Yes, that is. And she did amazing, amazing work on that. So
Are we
big shout
ready?
out. Yes.
So I think
believe
we're
we are.
ready. And so if you would like to follow in the tradition of King George, please do feel free to stand. We're going to put you into the hands of Mr. Duquesne, who is now going to drop this video, as they say. Is that what the kids say now?
Drop
I don't
the
know.
video. Do the thing.
So do the thing,
Do
Mr.
the
Graham.
thing.
I said Mr. Graham. Mr. Duquesne. So this is the moment after every concert where everybody stands around awkwardly because nobody knows whether we're supposed to tell everybody to go home or wait for them. And of course, normally the alumni would be walking up here. And so nobody really knows how these things are supposed to end when we have this kind of a concert. So we figured we would come back and stand around awkwardly.
Yeah, so here's
our awkward moment.
Awkward moment. So
do we go home? What happens now?
Right. Ms. Cassie, this has been an amazing journey. I will say this, it would be much easier if we had it in person.
Except think about what we have learned.
We have learned a tremendous amount of
and we had
stuff.
people who never ever would have been able to be involved.
Never
and so
ever.
we're looking very much at that silver lining, and we have taught the heck out of this piece.
Every year I find something new to learn and to teach, but this year has been,
we had to tear it down, and the kids were right
down.
there with us. So it's been an adventure. And this concludes our awkward moment and our conversation with the attendees, I guess.
Yeah.
And so we're going to wave goodbye like we do on our Google Meets and our Zoom calls. And then we'll see you. So our hashtag, as I imagine you saw, was "Don't Break the Streak." I think we've satisfied that, because I wasn't going to start over with year one, you know.
No.
And so now our new hashtag is "Play It Live in 95." Next year's year 95.
Year 95.
So sports fans, don't burn your copy of the Hallelujah Chorus, because we'll be back again next year on the stage with all of you.
Yes.
We are determined. And now we're going to wave goodbye, because I'm finally going to stop talking.
All right. She's finally going to stop, guys.
Miracles occur.
Woo! All right, my friends. Thank you so much. Happy holidays. We hope you all have a wonderful and safe holiday season.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Waiting for him to tell us we're gone. Are we gone?
So, guys.